A festive atmosphere from Millville, Minnesota. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed ready for round 10 of motocross action. The fans also remembering one of their own, Donnie Schmidt, who passed away last January. Donnie winning back-to-back nationals here in 1987 and 1988. Great fans in this area, David.
They sure are. They've got better viewing of the racetrack this year. The promoter cleared trees off some of the hillsides so they can see the track.
Trouble in the Kawasaki camp. Earlier, Marty Reed caught up with Roy Turner.
Probably the most stunning news in 125 is what happened before the race actually started. Damon Huffman did not qualify. I'm with Roy Turner, team manager Kawasaki. Something mechanical. Do you know what it was?
Well, we're still searching right now. We're not sure. We had right at the end of the second practice, we had a problem with the thing running, just missing and kind of farting and popping. And we pulled it in and we changed everything and we thought we had it solved. And he went out for the first qualifier and he had the same problem. So he came in at the end of the first lap and then we changed even the motor, which we didn't really feel it was, but we changed that and we changed every single part that has anything to do with the running condition at all. And he went out in the console and he had the same problem again. So right now we're at a loss. We have no idea what it is.
This has got to be so disappointing because just before you went out for qualifying, we had talked about how you felt like you were back on your form after last week at Troy.
Yeah, really. Last week was great, and even I felt really good on Friday here. So, you know, it's just amazing. It's really disappointing for us and the whole team, but, you know, there's just not enough time in between qualifiers to change everything. So, you know, that's what happened.
We'll see you in Washougal.
I'll be there.
Somebody said that you sort of twisted your back a little bit. You okay?
I got off pretty hard Friday, and my back was hurting really, really bad. And I just took it real easy Saturday, and I had a little crick in my neck, but, you know, no complaints. I'm just going to go out there and ride the best I can. It didn't bother me today in practice at all.
Thanks, Marty. Art Ekman and David Bailey here. David, we have to go way back. I mean way back, early in your career before we find a time that you failed to qualify, and I can imagine it must have been a bummer.
I was disappointed. I had bolted my bike to my mom's car, the bumper.
What?
And
no trailer?
No trailer. I was a privateer at the time, and I had to get to the race however I could. So I took the front wheel off and bolted the forks with the axle to the bumper, and the rear wheel just tracked on the ground with no chain, and I didn't even wear out the tire. It was kind of funny. And then in my qualifier, I was leading it, and a guy crashed on another portion of the racetrack. The bike came through the fence and took me out, and I had to watch the rest of the day.
Of course, Steve Lampson doesn't have to worry about qualifying. Anybody in the top 10 doesn't have to go through that process. As we take a look at the Suzuki point standing, Steve Lampson with a 108-point lead. The real battle between teammates for second place.
Well, Wyndham has battled his way up into second place, past his teammate, only by 2 points, though. And Dowd has won here before on this racetrack, and after last week's performance in 8th and a 10th, he's probably a little angry, and I think that's what he needs.
The 125's out on their parade lap right now. This is a fascinating track. All kinds of elements, David Bailey, as we take a look at the Suzuki track map.
First of all, it's one of the longer starts with a very fast sweeping right-hand first turn. And as they work their way towards the right of your screen, the roughest section on this track, the sand whoop section, then they work their way uphill and get into some of the harder packed sections before working their way back to the finish.
There you see Kevin Wyndham, number 38. Number 26, Scott Sheik, who's been talking with the Honda crew.
Yeah, he has. Rumor is that he's going to sign with Honda, but hasn't been confirmed yet.
We're set for Moto 1 now. The 125s to get the afternoon of racing underway. Little squirrely in the middle right there. Antonez on the inside, but he backs off. Michael Craig, number 17, will get the lead. Antonez, number 22. A great start, David.
There's a lot of privateers up to this time. Look at Kevin Wyndham blazing around the outside. Looked like Antonez had the whole shot, but he backed off a little soon, and it really cost him in that fast first corner.
Lampson, number 1, in great position. We've got Craig, Lampson, and Wyndham in that order. 3 very fast riders up front.
I think who really came out smelling like a rose is Wyndham. It didn't seem like he had a very good start in the first corner, but he did the right things in that long straightaway already into third.
Michael Craig, always known for his speed, the Honda of Troy rider, as Steve Lampson gets by him, though, here in the first lap. Lammy, when he gets out in front in the first lap, look out.
Well, that's what's been happening lately. Craig looked like he gave it all he had through that whoop section. Looked like he was going to loop out, but he got to keep the front end out of those deep holes.
Kevin Wyndham winning the $500 from Honda of Troy last week for running the fastest moto, but we really have never seen Wyndham and Lampson battle it out together. This might be the opportunity we've been waiting for, David.
We're going to get to now. Craig's maybe the spoiler, though. He's in the way right now. If Wyndham can move around, we're going to see a duel.
You give Lamson any breathing room, and he's just taken off this year. It's Lammy with Michael Craig right on his back tire.
I would expect Craig to stay there for a few laps. Craig's fast. The only place where Craig has a weakness compared to Lamson is just being able to do this consistently. And when he does get a good start run up front, towards the end of the moto, he starts to fade just a little bit. And it's not because of a lack of speed. It's a lack of the ability to concentrate at that pace for 30 minutes.
The last time Craig got a hole shot was at Mount Morris, and he ended up in second place in that moto.
It's probably the one moto where he's like, man, why did Sheik have to have the moto of his life? I could have picked one up right there.
That's true.
Once it started drizzling a little bit, which it has threatened to do here today, Sheik really took off. He's a little more experienced in the rain.
First Moto 125 action. You see Michael Craig in second place. Kevin Windham in back of him, and Steve Lamson during our commercial break got even further out in front.
There you see, he just went by the start-finish area. He's starting to open up a little bit of a lead, and I think Windham has the pace, or at least he's proven it in the second motos a lot of times this year, to be as fast or faster than Lamson, but until he can get around Craig right here, he won't have a chance to see what Lamson's doing out there.
And once again, we have to take under consideration that Windham has not seen or not ridden a lot on these tracks.
This is another one that he's going to have to learn a little bit. Craig and Lamson, all the guys around him have ridden here before. They know where the hot lines are.
Here comes Windham in a section that is very difficult. I love to watch this section.
And Windham came in there the way you're supposed to. You got to go in there fast in order to maintain your momentum and stay on tops of the bumps. However, that's the real key. You got to tell yourself, all right, I'm going to go in there a gear higher, and that section gets busy when you start going through there a lot faster. And if you make a mistake, you can go down.
Pull that front wheel up and zip it by. Otherwise, that sand will just gobble you up. Okay, Kevin Windham now in second place. He's got the time possibly to catch Lamson if Lamson should falter. Mike Brown moving in. And there's Tim Ferry, number 20.
All the guys have a little different idea of how to get through that section. And the way the bumps are in the very beginning, you get thrown a little differently, and your timing is very crucial to get through that entire section fast. Saw Ferry get a little hop before he entered the section right here, skimming the top. Ferry should know how to ride through here. He's a good sand rider.
He's proven that in races in his native Florida like Daytona.
Yeah, anytime you come from Florida, Swink's another one. He rides in this kind of soil. He's got some hard pack sections too, but it's mostly sand, a lot of whoop-de-doos, and they get good timing and then understand how to keep the front end light in those conditions.
Ferry gunning for fourth. Mike Brown, currently of Honda of Troy, holding it down. Ferry goes in. Oh, a little grub action right there, but Ferry gets through it. As we've said on the past two telecasts, this guy has turned on the aggression.
When he is on, he does a lot of things right. The lines that he chooses, he gets aggressive, gets in there and bumps him around. That's what you got to do. It's going to be tough to get around Mike Brown. If he hadn't made that move, he may have followed him another 2 or 3 laps. That could be costly.
After a 10th and a 12th at Budds Creek and Southwick, he had a 2nd, a 4th, and a 6th coming into this race.
Brown's going to hang on to him. Brown's had his share of injuries this year. It's tough to ride that way, but he's toughed it out a few times, riding with the sore thumb and wrist. Doing a pretty good job here.
Here's John Dowd in pursuit of Buddy Antonez, the privateer number 22.
Nice rhythm right there by Dowd. Use that little bump to hop onto that sort of like a little mini plateau there and keep flat through the section. As soon as you get dropped down into one of those holes and start that up and down motion, you lose all your forward momentum.
In 7th place here, he won a 250 moto here last year. After crashing in the first moto, he ran down Emig for the victory.
Now, he likes this track, so obviously comfortable here. He won this race, the 250 class, in 1994 after he picked up the factory ride of Mike Craig. Comfortable on that motorcycle, had a few chances to ride it, and then he won his second 250 National here.
Looking to get back into second in points in pursuit of Buddy Antonez. Antonez has not let people off the hook very easily, but gives just enough room in that corner. That's a good passing corner, we found out already.
Well, he left the door a lot wider open than Mike Brown did for Tim Ferry, and Dowd just did the smart thing, took the inside.
Dowdy with a pretty good year. Twice this year, though, he's hit a down rider at Gainesville, and he finished 34th in the moto. And Southwick, he finished 35th in the moto after running into Robbie Raynert's downed bike. And our leader here in the first moto of the 125s is Steve Lamson. Lammy has had his share of wins this year, don't you think? He's won 10 motos and 18 total motos, 7 overalls out of 9 races.
Well, I think he should share a little bit. That's no fair.
I don't recall you sharing too many races, David Bailey.
No. You know, it's different when you're watching. You want to see a good race, but when I was racing, I wanted to win by a minute if I could. I didn't want to even have any pressure. It was a little more gratifying to win a tight battle when the crowd's into it. But
well, that's the same feeling this man has right here as the Suzuki stopwatch starts ticking away. While we were in commercial, a bobble by Wyndham allowed Michael Craig to move into second place. And so that's the second place rider we're waiting for to see what the interval might be. In fact, let's take it all the way back. It's about 17 seconds.
yeah, Lamson's got a huge lead over Craig. Here comes Wyndham now, 21 seconds back. So he's still got second place within his grasp, but the thought of catching Lamson at this point in the moto, the way Lamson's riding, seems unlikely.
Marty Reed's making his way in the mechanics area now to find out more about the Michael Craig situation.
Well, Dean, some days you get the bear and some days the bear gets you. Right now, it looks like you got the bear.
Yeah, it looks like we might benefit from a mistake in the back section from Wyndham, and that would put us in a pretty good spot if we can hang on to second for the overall. So
We got less than 10 minutes to go. Can he hold on to second place?
oh yeah, I think he can. We got a little bit of a cushion over Wyndham, some lappers in between, and heck, we'll have to just wait and see.
Rejoining the action here with the 125s, moto number 1, Kevin Wyndham trying to weed his way up past some lappers right now. Kevin's not 100% either.
No, and the fact that he made a mistake, we're not sure how serious it was, whether he went down or not. That could have re-injured his back, which he said didn't bother him in practice, but here we are deep into a 30-minute moto and unaware of what really went on with him. So it's hard to tell from the mechanics area or from the camera whether he's suffering or not.
It'll be interesting because Dowd and Ferry are behind Wyndham as we take a look at our leaderboard. Steve Lamson still way out in front. Oh, going down is Tracy Backman. Number 805, the Whoops Monster got him.
Yeah, he almost hit the swamp thing or whatever they call it. I'd like to wear that all day.
Oh, that'd be brutal out there, wouldn't it? But we got a nice wind coming up there as we see Dowdy coming around the tree and through the sand.
Again, look at the beating he's taking. He almost got together with that lapped rider. Now the Whoop Monster is trying to encourage this guy to get up a little quicker. There's going to be a lot of guys going down there today. It's always a tough section. When you start to get tired, you really pay the price through there.
Dowd in 5th place. And it's Mike Brown giving him a little havoc from behind right there, the Honda of Troy rider. You get the feeling, David, he's slowing down a bit. Let's go to Marty Reed for an update.
Just when things were looking to be going better for John Dowd, he came by here and he was motioning with his left wrist like something was wrong with the clutch. Have to keep an eye on it, see if he can hold on to position.
Well, he's in 5th right now, but Brown is threatening. Brown coming off a slight injury. He had to ride last week with an extremely sore thumb. He fell in practice and got the thumb caught between a chain and the sprocket on Damon Huffman's bike.
Well, he had to pull off in the first moto.
Then he came back strong in the second, though,
Yeah,
didn't he?
I think it had too good of a start. It was just too hard to pull off while he was running up front like that. But, you know, I mean, that kind of an injury doesn't heal in 1 week. So how much riding he was able to do to get prepared for this, I don't know. Probably not very much. Right here, he's doing the right thing. Apparently there's something wrong with Dowd, or at least he senses it. He's keeping the pressure on.
The battle in the race right now is forming for 3rd place as Kevin Wyndham is feeling some pressure right now from number 20, Team Suzuki's Tim Ferry.
Well, there's a couple things going on here. One is Ferry's riding pretty good. He's working his way up, hasn't given up. And Wyndham had a great start. He was right in contact with Lamson and Craig in the opening laps. Made a mistake, and ever since, he just faded. So it looks like to me he's trying to save some energy for the next moto, and in doing so, he's allowed Ferry to catch up.
Ferry catching a toe there for a while.
You can see they thinned out the hillsides there in terms of the trees, so the spectators here, which is the biggest crowd they've ever had, has a better viewing of the track.
About a 4-second difference between 3rd and 4th there, as Mike Brown has gotten around Dowd.
That's a bummer. Only 2 laps to go, and Dowd was doing all that he could. And I'm trying to see, I've noticed in a couple of shots, he doesn't have his hand on the clutch. Most of these guys you'll notice ride with a finger or two out there on the clutch at all times. And if that's not working, why even put your fingers out there? So that could be.
Well, just Add another one to the long list of problems for him during the season. Earlier, John Dowd filled Marty in on his confidence level.
I hate to bring this up, and I know you don't want to really talk about this, but you slipped a third. You've slipped a third in the points, and it looks like you're struggling a little.
Yeah, I don't know what happened last week. I was kind of sick. I got some kind of flu, the week before Ohio, and I didn't get to ride or train really at all during the week and stuff. And I kind of was surprised how much it affected me. I just kind of rode terrible all day long. I didn't have a lot of energy, and on top of all that, I just rode, terrible. I guess, psychologically, whatever, my confidence was down going into the whole day. So I don't know. I gotta try to get over that now and get back on track there where I was before.
Do you find yourself saying, oh, only 4 more races to go? Or do you find yourself saying, I got 4 races left to really charge after this?
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying. It's kind of weird. It seems like the season is coming to an end, but I'm kind of bummed out. I was looking forward to, maybe winning a race or a couple races throughout the season, and that hasn't really happened yet. I've been close a few times, but that's the only thing that's bumming me out. I got 4 races left to do it, and I'm going to really try hard to try to get one win under my belt or even more by the end of the season.
In the 125 action, it is Michael Craig in second place. Final lap, the white flag is out. Steve Lamson is long gone by that white flag by now.
That's true. However, Mike Craig has ridden a great race. Looks to me like he's saving a little bit of energy. He's still riding aggressive, but he's sitting down a little bit more than he would on some of these rougher sections. And he's done a good job. He's opened up, he's stayed with Lamson for a long time. That opened up a big lead over the rest of the field. He still maintains a good advantage over Wyndham.
Put himself in good position for his finest finish of the year. He's had 3 fifth-place overalls so far this season. Of course, no one has put it together like Steve Lamson in the 125s this year.
He's starting to have fun. As he came over that jump before he headed up the hill, he kind of threw it sideways a little bit. Starting to feel that flow. Everything's clicking for him. See if he can get the second moto dialed in. He's been a little inconsistent lately in terms of both motos.
David, we're used to Jeremy McGrath's dominating statistics, but Steve Lamson has been almost more impressive in his particular division.
He has been dominant. 7 out of 9 overalls. Looks like he may be heading for his 8th overall win, which is just amazing. I mean, there's a lot of competition in this 125 class. It's not thin by any means, and Steve has just dominated it week after week.
Of course, when you talk about domination, you got to talk about a guy named David Bailey, who back in 1984, which is quite a while ago. I know a lot of people out there probably weren't born yet, but the 500 Nationals, you won the first 8 events of the season.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. I wish I would have kept my head together and tried to win the last 2. That would be a record that still stands. 8 Nationals in a row. I'm tied with Hannah and Barnett. They each had the same thing, but for one reason or another, we couldn't get the last 2.
Glover winning the last 2 events, but you won the title by 45 points. Here's the checkers for Steve Lamson, moto number 1. Lammy, Craig will come in second with Kevin Wyndham in third, Tim Ferry a 4th, and a fine 5th for Mike Brown. Here's rounding out the top 10, Chad Pedersen, a fine privateer in 9th place. And Marty's with our winner.
Well, I got to tell you, I know it's a lot of hard work for you, but it looked like an easy afternoon drive.
And it's never easy, but it makes it a little bit easier when you get out in front like that and just ride your own good pace, and that's what I did. I just rode a good fast pace the whole way.
Yeah, but nobody threatened you at any point.
Yeah, I got out there, sprinted them first few laps to get a little gap, and then just keep a good pace. My bike's working great, and can't say anything more, man.
Well, another victory and 1 more moto to go. And obviously you're not going to change anything unless it rains.
No, my mechanic just asked me before he went back, "Do you want me to change anything?" I'm all, "Nope, just leave everything how it is. It's great."
We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Michael Craig equaling his whole shot, 2nd place finish that he got back in Mount Morris. Let's go back to Marty.
This is the best finish you've had since Mount Morris when you had a 2nd place at the moto there. Take us through the ride because you looked good and strong.
Yeah, the first half, I rode really smart, really fast. I made a mistake and Kevin got by me, but I know that he runs with Lamson. So I said, hey, let him try to catch Lamson and see if I can hang with Wyndham. And I stayed with Wyndham for a while and I kind of went, whoa, let's get going so I can get in second. He made a little bobble, fell over, but this track is just, I don't know how to say. Somebody has to come out here and look at it, just tell you how gnarly it is. The whoops in the back are just, every lap you're going through it, trying to stay up.
This will probably not be one of Kevin Windham's favorite races to look back on, but let's go to Marty and check out and see what happened on the backside.
All right, I guess the first thing I got to ask is what happened when you went down?
There was a lapper out there on the outside the berm, and I kind of got on the brakes, and I just misjudged it. You know, I kind of, it was in the line I've been running, and I thought I had time to run it, you know, and whenever they flag them off, they normally go to the side, and I guess I wasn't thinking, you know, it was more my fault. He just pulled over and stopped, and it happened to be right in my line, so not much I could do.
Well, it just puts a little bit extra pressure on that second motor. Somebody's got to find a way to stop Lamson. Can anybody do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a better ride than what I just put out. You know, I was riding a little tight, and, you know, I guess he's got all this confidence from winning race after race, so it's going to take a little better ride than what I did just there, but, yeah, it can definitely be done.
Yeah, but you've always been stronger in that second motor the last 3 races.
Yeah, I've really been working hard as far as my endurance, you know, just because I'm having bad motos, you know, I don't want anybody to think I don't want it and I'm not out there trying because, you know, as a few of my second motos have said, you know, with ones I've definitely been out there doing as much work as anybody.
The stare of Buddy Antunez as we get set for our second 125 moto here at Millville, Minnesota. There you see Michael Craig busy taking care of his small chores. Mike Brown next to him. John Dowd and Kevin Windham, of course, still in a real battle royal for second place. And Marty talked with Windham about the teammate rivalry.
You moved into second place past your teammate, John Dowd. Have a similar situation in 250s where teammates are battling each other for points positions. What's going to happen out there if you two come together on the track?
Just, you know, racing's racing. You know, I guess on the track, you know, everybody's out there to win, and you know, I'm not out there to make any dirty moves on any of them. You know, it doesn't play a factor that he's on the team. You know, and when we get back to the track, we still talk about lines, and you know, me and John are good friends. So you know, he's just another competitor when he's out there. But you know, as soon as we get in the truck, he's you know, best of friends.
And I don't think at this point they're getting any team orders to be careful with each other on the racetrack. Just race, go for it, try to get some overall wins. If they were closer to Lamson, if he didn't have that zillion-point lead, the team orders may be a little bit different. And look at that rear tire on Lamson's bike. Almost looks like a paddle tire. Looks like it would tear up the street. The track here, about 80% sand, so they got a lot of space between the knobs.
Okay, we are ready and we are off in moto number 2. Let's see who will get the whole shot this time. And it looks like Robbie Raynard on the inside as Dowd bumps on the outside. Raynard number 14. And Dowdy is in second place. Looks like Chad Pedersen in third.
That was scary for a moment there. Dowd and Pedersen getting together in like 4th gear, going 50 miles an hour through that sweeper. Both of them stayed up. Remember Dowd last year here went down in the first moto early in the start. Cost him big. Took out Emick too, so off to a much better start here. Raynard last year, both motos he won by a mile, and it looks like he's got a great opportunity to capture another one here.
It's good to see him up and running right now in the Primal Honda. Raynard's had all kinds of bad luck this year. Look at how he picks that front wheel up going through the sandy areas. But he just dominated this race last year. No one else stood a chance. Hughes was in second way back in last year's 125 affair.
You can see they've worked the track over a little bit here and there. They've watered it. See the dozer sitting off to the side. They've smoothed out a few sections. I think in an effort to create more passing zones, you just got a glimpse of Lamson coming through there. Not a very good start for him. So once again, a bad second moto start is going to force him to come from behind.
You know, David, it's almost like, hey, the first moto, I'm going to go out there and win it, and then kind of take it easy. Then he gets that inspiration back when he sees so many bikes in front of him.
Well, you get the first moto in the books and you win it. You get to relax between motos. You got plenty of confidence. You know you're the fastest, and maybe he relaxes a little bit too much before the second moto. A little overconfidence or thinking that his job is half done. Doesn't come out hungry enough.
Well, he is able to come up through the pack. He's proved that in the past, though, as far as the overall situation is concerned. Raynard in the first moto was an 11th, so he is out of the picture, really, for the overall. Dowd in second place. Pedersen, the Pro Circuit rider, still in third. He was Privateer of the Year last year in the 125s. There's Pedersen 21. 34, Ezra Lusk. We haven't seen him in quite a while. And Windham is hounding Lusk.
Windham has a chance right here if things work out right behind him. If he can get up there into the lead, maybe pick up steal an overall win away from Lamson, who's still quite a few positions further back.
End of the first lap. John Dowd in good position. Cliff White at the bottom of your screen right there. You think he had something to do with the whole shot, Robbie Raynard? He's the master engine builder there at Honda.
Well, it just could be. He's responsible for getting all the horsepower out of these 125s and just waving Robbie on. They all want to see him do good. I mean, it's a shame that he's gotten hurt so many times, but he's still young and he's fast.
Mike Brown holding true with Kevin Windham. Mike Brown, number 9. Ooh, Brownie's looking good.
Moves by Windham as they enter that loop section. It's the guy with the most nerve coming into that section, because if he let off, he just suffer all the way through that deep sand.
Here's a chance for a very fine overall after a 5th place finish in the first moto. Ezra Lusk staying upright and on the move. Number 34, Brown's next target.
After such a successful season indoors, winding out 3rd on the 250, I thought jumping back into the 125 he'd be able to muscle that thing around, and it's just been inconsistent, had some bad luck, some nagging injury stuff, but he's really been a disappointment, I think, for Suzuki in the 125s.
Chad Pedersen in 3rd place, Lusk in 4th. Pedersen this year has had a 2nd place moto. That was back in Buchanan, Michigan. And his best overall was Budds Creek, a 5th place finish.
Look at that cluster of riders behind Chad Pedersen right there. As Pedersen came off that drop away, went way out to the outside to look for a smooth line and maintain his momentum, rolling into that berm, and the wind's starting to pick up a little bit here too. So that's going to affect him on some of the jumps.
Ezra Lusk, number 34. Kevin Windham, number 38. 2 more riders back. We've got Steve Lamson. Lammy's made his way. Whoa! Tim Ferry has pulled off into the mechanics area and even threw the goggles to the fan. So that's a pretty good sign that it's over.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong, but he's definitely not going to continue.
Let's go to Marty.
Hey, what's wrong? What put him out?
Front flat tire.
Tough break.
Yep.
Robbie Raynard is our leader with John Dowd in 2nd place as we go back to see some of the heavy infighting in the pack. Kevin Windham trying to get back up near the front in a battle with Ezra Lusk, number 34.
That was close, too. He came in there and had to lock it up. You see his front tire just barely missed the rear tire of Lusk. He'd have hit him. He'd have high-sided and gone down. Trying to show him a wheel and keep the pressure on him, though. That's how you force a mistake.
Windham to the outside, and he's got the acceleration. He gets in front of Ezra Lusk to take the extra spot. Chad Pedersen is next in his sights there. You can see it in the bright green bike.
That's a great pass Windham made on Lusk. Should go through that corner that fast every lap. He almost couldn't make the next one. He went in there so hot. But he's still got a good pace going.
David, when you think of Millville, at least I don't think of rocks and conditions that would flatten tires like we saw with Tim Ferry.
No, you wouldn't think so, but I remember racing a 500 National here one year, and I was kind of nursing a wrist injury. Just trying to do all I had to do to win, no more. And JoJo Keller was giving me a run for my money, and on the final lap he had a flat tire, which pretty much made it a lot easier for me to win.
Yeah, good break.
He had a front flat tire, and he crashed twice in the final lap, so it can happen.
Okay, the defending champion is on the move. He's up to 6th place right now. He's got Ezra Lusk right in his sights, and then Kevin Windham in front of him. So it's a fast group here.
It is a fast group, and at the tail end of it is Mike Brown, who's just peeking into the camera. There you see him. Lamson with that fast line around the outside right there. You got to make a little sharper corner when you get to the end, but it's a lot faster all the way down the straightaway.
Lammy, winner of 11 out of 19 motos this year, is taking on Ezra Lusk. Tries to squeeze that front tire in front as they go into the sand. Boy, that's a vicious area.
Looked like Lamson had a run on him as they started in. He cut to the inside, just held it wide open, used his strength. Look at him hop over the bumps there. Lampson's getting through those whoops fast, but I think Lusk is taking the line he'd rather be in, so unable to make the pass there.
Lamson looking for at least a 5th place, because that would put him in the overall class, because John Dowd in 2nd place, should he win this moto, he would have to match it up with a 6th place finish in moto number 1. Robbie Raynard, as we mentioned prior, really doesn't have a chance for the overall with that 11th place finish in moto 1, but it's Raynard out in front, and the defending champion trying to recover from a poor start.
There's a tough section right here. Good Lamson wide open. That just falls away from you off camber, and the fact that these guys are able to hold it wide open through there is pretty amazing. A little easier to do on a 125.
Looking a little slicker, and the ruts forming big time in the curves. There's Jeff Stanton cheering the Honda riders on.
The guy is everywhere. And the next shot, he'll be over by the sand whoops.
He'll run across the track to check it out, huh?
Well, he's doing his job. I haven't seen anybody after their career really dive into their work like Jeff has. He's really made a big difference at Team Honda.
That was Chad Pedersen's mechanic saying, focus ahead. Don't worry about the riders behind you. He's only got Wyndham, Lamson, some of the big guns of this game. Then they'll be breathing down his neck here pretty soon.
Yeah, don't worry about that gun pointed at your head. Jeez, the best riders in this class are breathing down his neck, but that's the best advice. Focus ahead. Look at that.
Oh! As Verlust toppling over, looked like he might have brushed with Steve Lamson.
Yeah, I think he came into that corner and just, he should have stayed leaned in. He leaned up too straight, hit the back tire of Lamson high-sided. So, you know, think about Pedersen out there. I mean, that could have happened to Lamson or anybody else. So there goes back to that advice. Focus ahead, because you never know what's going to happen behind you.
Kevin Wyndham and Steve Lamson in pursuit of number 21, Chad Pedersen.
That was that section before where Pedersen was going way wide into that corner. A little smarter this time not to leave the door open because he's got the two fastest guys.
Oh, what a cut inside. Steve Lamson and Kevin Wyndham going at it. What a battle.
Lamson just saying, no, you're not going to give you any room right here. Watch Lamson. He'll try to square this corner, and he gets in this berm a little wrong. Gets real sideways. Did a nice job of saving it, but he lost all his momentum. Look at Wyndham. Comes down the outside. I don't think it's a good idea for him to try to make a pass on Lamson right there on the outside. Lamson took him all the way to the tires, and Stanton saw the whole thing. He's radioing it back to the pits.
For those of you just tuning in, you haven't seen or heard from number 10, Damon Huffman. That's because he did not qualify for this race. He had a mechanical problem during qualifying. He missed 5 events with a knee injury this year, and then at Troy, he looked like the Damon Huffman of old with a 3-2, a third-place finish. But he couldn't get that bike to run the way he needed to qualify for this race. Right here's Chad Pedersen. And Lamson is not far behind. Marty Reed's with Pedersen's mechanic in the mechanics area.
David, he's got a good run going, but now he's got Lamson closing.
Yeah, he's catching him pretty quick, but hopefully he can stay in front of him.
We still got a little over 18 minutes in this moto. Seriously, do you think he can hold Lamson off?
I don't know. It's contract time. Anything can happen.
It's a good thing you don't have rearview mirrors, right?
Yeah.
He might know something we don't, David.
Well, he kind of indicated that, you know, that if Chad gets on the gas here, he'll have a contract. If not, maybe that'll be in question.
There was a confrontation like this between these same two riders at Buchanan when Lamson put a wheel in front. Pedersen got the betterment of the contact and later took second place in that race. Lammy going down. It's a real battle right now. Steve Lamson and Chad Pedersen. Lamson, he makes it out in front of Chad.
Lamson is unbelievable through that whoop section. He's so fast through there. He didn't go through the first one all that fast. All he did was stay close enough to make his pass, but coming back the other way, he was wide open, didn't even have to let off for the corner.
And this is our leader, number 14, Robbie Raynard. He's just been trucking away.
Well, we haven't got to see a whole lot of him because he's been gone. Look how slick it was coming out of that berm. It looks like they're digging down to plywood like they do in the Supercross. Get down to that hard surface, but watching Robbie Raynard go fast is like, you know, watching wet paint dry. The guy makes it look so easy. It's hard to believe that he's really doing anything out there, but one thing he's doing is going fast. How much momentum he carried around that corner is amazing. Nice timing through there. You see he landed. He used that bump to jump up on the top of the other one. Making time everywhere. He's got this track dialed in.
John Dowd is in second position. There's Chad Pedersen, followed by Kevin Wyndham.
Pedersen working his way up to the top of this racetrack. Starts to get hard packed through there. He pre-jumps the top of that. Got to get on the ground a little sooner and get the horsepower back to the ground. Lamson had a much worse start than Kevin Wyndham. Just rode right around him. Now Wyndham's looking back, elected not to go for that double, so something could be wrong with him.
You know, we were asking before this race started to see more matchups between Kevin Wyndham and Steve Lamson, but Lamson has been able to just breeze by him. In fact, now Kevin Wyndham is having his problems holding his own against Mike Brown.
Yeah, something's gone wrong with Wyndham today, and I don't know if he's tired or what's going on, but definitely.
Could it be something with the bike, David?
Well, I'm looking at the tires. They look okay.
Let's go down to Marty.
Allie, he's falling back. What's happening?
He's got a rear flat.
Oh, we didn't see it when it went by. That's a shame.
Yeah,
He was coming on.
yeah, I didn't know what was wrong. He kept slowing down and slowing down, so got a flat.
Some tracks, it's really easy to see a flat tire, but in the sand like that, it's not always. I can understand why you were wrong.
Well, I can't always be right, and shoot, Marty's got a better look at it than I do, and he couldn't see it either. But that was about all I could figure back there. That's why I made the assumption that it could be the tires, but they looked okay to me. And it's a good thing it's a rear flat. A lot easier to slide around than it is to have the front end washing out on you everywhere.
Our field summary, Robbie Raynard still our leader. He got the whole shot, and he's been there ever since. John Dowd, who's done a real nice job after clutch problems in the first moto. Here's Robbie on the Primal Honda. But Dowd is starting to pick up some time on Robbie Raynard. Raynard led a race this year, got a flat tire, and ended up back in the pack.
Well, his tire came completely off the rim. Raynard, I think it's tough to establish a pace once you're out front. You get a pretty good lead, then you start riding a little more comfortable, and you just pace yourself. And all of a sudden, somebody like Dowd, who's tough in the end, starts to catch you.
The Suzuki stopwatch shows us about a 4-second interval between first and second. 7.1, that's not far back with time remaining.
Right, well, both these guys are pretty close to Raynard, and like I said, he probably found a comfortable pace and didn't see anybody for a while, and all of a sudden these guys pick it up, forced him to pick it up. It's hard to do.
David, I'm noticing more and more as the race goes on, the riders picking the edge of the course.
They're just going anywhere they can to try to find a smooth line. The track gets rougher and rougher as the race continues. Even this berm right here he's coming into, every time he hits that berm, 39 other guys hit it before he comes around again. So the track constantly changes, and they'll go wherever they got to go to find it. You see him dancing around through there using a different line than he's been using, trying to find someplace smooth.
Robbie Raynard, our leader, looking good last week, second in Moto 1 for a 4th overall, but Dowdy's kind of starting to pull up on him now. It's good to see Raynard, though, back looking fast. Let's go to Marty.
Well, we got less than 10 minutes to go. John Dowd looks like he's closing.
He's closed the back end to 5 seconds. Robbie pulled him out to 7.5, almost 8. I don't know if he's not quite ready to make a full moto yet. I don't know, but he's trying right now.
You think it might? We've seen a lot of guys having tire problems. Have you been able to spot anything, like maybe something going down on one of the tires?
I haven't seen anything, but like San Bernardino, he rode in the lead for with 2 laps with a flat. I mean, flats don't slow him down that much.
We've got a battle for the lead now, David Bailey, as Raynard will try to hold off the oncoming John Dowd. Dowd coming right up now, looking for opportunities.
Look how aggressive Dowd is into that corner, charging hard. The crowd's starting to get into it now. They want to see a battle. Raynard's been out there with a huge lead the whole moto. Lamson did that in the first moto. They want to see a battle, and they're going to get it.
Robbie Raynard, just enough momentum out of that corner to hold on to the lead against a rampaging John Dowd.
Down on the factory Yamaha, seems like he would have a little bit of an advantage. Whoa.
Oh, nice and close. Raynard showed some toughness there. What a great finish to this second moto. Lamson is really riding hard, looking for second place.
Jersey even came untucked. He's dirty. The first moto he was spick and span in the interview after the race. Now he's covered with sand. He's tired. He's had to work his way up, but once again, he's done his job. He's going to get the overall no matter what and pad his points lead, but now he wants a little more than a third.
Robbie Raynard looking for his very first moto victory. Here's Lamson and Dowd in the battle for second place. Dowdy still holding on to that second place. Oh my goodness.
Lamson trying everything, squaring him off everywhere, using a little different line. Trying to stay out of the roost for one thing. Keep his vision clear and not have to dodge that. That hurts. That's sand coming at you. It's like getting sand blasted. Even a 125 is going to spit it out at you.
Dowd just in front of Lamson. If he can hold on, that'll save him some points anyway. Lammy can't clinch the crown today.
No, but if he puts together some good finishes in the next round at Washougal, he will be able to wrap it up. And that'd be remarkable with a couple of rounds remaining. 100 points up for grabs. All he needs is 101 to lock it up.
If he should finish in third, he would have a 118-point lead going into Washougal.
He'll need to maintain at least 101 coming out of there to wrap it up. Raynard coming out of that corner just before was starting to look over his shoulder a little bit, gauging how much they're catching up. He probably didn't know Lamson was coming too. That'll make him a little more nervous.
We're on the final lap of one of the most challenging courses in AMA motocross.
Probably the good news, though, for Raynard right here towards the end is that with Lamson charging on John Dowd like this, it'll force Dowd to be a little more conservative or protect his line, and that's going to keep him from hounding Rayner.
Robbie Rayner is so close to his finest moment of the motocross season. There's the checkered flag. Dowd right on their tails, Lamson as well. One of the closest finishes we've had all year. Robbie Rayner, John Dowd, Steve Lamson are top 3, with Mike Brown, Chad Pedersen holding on to 5th. Mike Craig slipping out of the overall scene, Buddy Antonez, the top privateer.
Well, all I can say is congratulations. First time this season after the injury, back in victory lane.
Yeah, I've been trying really hard, and first moto I got a bad start and I got tired. It made me really upset, and I just wanted to go out there and do the best I could, and I went out there and I got the whole shot, and I was just pumped from there, and I just was like, I just ride a steady pace, and my shoulders still got really tired, but I was able to hang on to it.
Your dad was wondering, he talked to us about it, and it looked like there for a spell that it might give out on you and that you might fatigue out, but boy, you came back strong at the late point.
Yeah, I noticed Dowd was gaining on me, so I just cranked it on a little bit more. Made a couple mistakes, and the lappers were going a little bit in my way, but he was riding really good. We slammed back there one lap, and that's when I really opened it up. I was like, I got to get away before we both go down and get a bad finish. So I just opened it up and pulled a little bit of lead and got comfortable again.
Congratulations, good ride.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Steve Lamson has a chance to become the biggest 125 winner since 1978, when Brock Glover won by 110 points as he takes the overall. That's his 8th overall victory. John Dowd is 4th second place finish. Marty's with our overall winner.
Well, I just want to say thank you, because for a change, at least you made it interesting.
It seems like them second motos are doing that to me lately. I think I'm jinxing the second motos, so that's the way it goes. Though it made me try hard and ride hard as I could. So I'm happy with that, and I still got the overalls. So
6 in a row.
Yeah, 6 in a row. So I just hope I can pick it up in a couple weeks in Washougal and have a good day like this.
A common occurrence for Steve Lamson, as he now has a 118-point advantage. Dowd moving back into second place. And let's get back to Marty.
I guess the first question I need to ask is, how's your confidence doing now?
Well, I feel a little better now. I definitely had a rough couple of weeks coming up to this race, and my confidence was kind of out the door. But I'm pretty happy if I pulled off a decent race here, and I wish the first one could have gone a little better, but at least this one, this will start me on my way, hopefully.
What the guys are telling me in the headset is you're also 2nd overall.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's kind of strange the way the points work, but I'm happy about that. Anyways, that's going to help me out with the points for sure.
Steve Lamson looking to wrap up his 2nd consecutive championship in the 125 Nationals, and of course expected to go to the 250s next year.
Well, that'll be interesting. He's definitely going to have confidence coming from this class, and there it is, the battle we were hoping to see between Lamson and Wyndham. Both motos, Wyndham had an opportunity to beat Lamson, especially in the second moto with a much better start, and Lamson proved he was better today.
Lots of learning to do. We'll be back with the 250s. Jeremy McGrath versus Jeff Emig in just a moment. Here he carried number 16. But in the hearts of the Millville fans, their native son was always number 1. A fierce competitor on the national circuit, a world champion internationally. Donnie Schmidt passed away prematurely at the turn of the year. Donnie celebrating his last win, ironically, right here at Millville. He came out of retirement for the fun of it, inspiring fans here just last year. Today's race, a dedication to the young man thought of as Minnesota's finest rider. Welcome to Millville, Minnesota. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. We've got an incredible new development in the 250s. Marty Reed's on the scene.
I was going to tease you and say you'll do anything to get out of those mid-race interviews, but looking at your ankle and listening to your voice, the fall that you took in practice, you're not in really great shape, are you?
No, not really. Friday after, during practice, it was about probably 6th lap or something. There's a jump out there that apparently I thought I could make it up, and I just didn't. I cased it right in the face of the tabletop, and actually I didn't even crash. My voice is kind of bad right now because I hit my crossbar on my throat, my voice box, and I couldn't even talk when I first did it, so it's a lot better. But the severe thing is my ankle. It's I have what they call a midfoot sprain, and supposedly it's supposed to be more painful than a broken foot.
That recorded earlier. Jeremy just simply trying to finish in the top 10 now. Let's get an update from Marty.
All right, the last-minute update on Jeremy McGrath. I pointed my thumbs up to him, and he sort of shook his head sort of questioningly. He said the tape job right before he went out was the best it had felt, but we'll have to wait and see whether he's going to be able to go. On Mike LaRocco's situation, watch his left shoulder. He dislocated it in practice, and it is extremely painful, but he's going to give it a go here in the first moto.
Yeah, this is a sorry memory from last year as well for LaRocco. He dominated Moto 1 and then in Moto 2.
Yeah, he went down in the first corner, and it looked like he'd gotten his leg hooked in one of the tires on the side of the racetrack and hyperextended his knee.
Requiring reconstructive knee surgery as Jeremy McGrath, you see, even though he's dominated, only has a 47-point lead on Jeff Emig. Mike LaRocco and Greg Albertine fighting it out for third. So we're just about set to get underway here in Moto 1 for the 250s at Millville, Minnesota. What a beautiful day it is for racing. Not too humid this time around. And the start, Jeff Emig with a great start, number 2. There's Albertine, number 16, right at his left side. Albertine, Henry, number 15, moving into second place now as they start to hit the bumpy area.
Not a bad start for Kevin Crine on that KTM. They obviously got some top end out of that bike. He's running third or fourth, or was for the moment.
Emig is gaining the title King of Hole Shots this year. You see Ryan Hughes in the bright yellow shirt zip by our screen as Henry now gives a challenge to Emig.
Well, this is their first look at that rough whoop-de-doo sand section. Henry so fast through there on the outside. A lot faster through there than Emig, but Emig was taking over the best line.
Henry's come back here, riding, looking promising, but then he's had a lot of hard luck. Got his teeth knocked out at Buchanan, fell in practice before Troy, injuring his shoulder. That kept him off the track for the race. But the big plus, of course, this season is that he's on the track racing after that rocket launch at Budds Creek last year. He did not race here because of that injury, of course, last season. Henry getting a challenge now from number 5, Ryan Hughes. Hughes trying to get around on the outside, but Henry shuts the door.
Now Hughes is going to have the inside as they drop down to this corner. Takes it away, so now it's Kawasaki running 1-2. A little difference from weeks past where they've had Jeremy out front.
Emig, Hughes, Henry, Albertine, and where is McGrath?
Well, I think when you line up on the starting line with an injury and you saying to yourself, I just want to be in the top 10 and get points, chances are you're not going to be very aggressive off the line. That may be what happened to Jeremy this moto.
Our spotters have him in 11th place right now. Jeff Emig, our leader in the last 3. He's won 1 moto in each event. Probably his fastest riding in the last 3 races was after he crashed at Unadilla, where he came from 25th to 8th position.
I was pretty impressed with that ride, too, from Jeff. That really proved to me he wants this title bad. He's willing to dig deep because his bike was bent up pretty bad. He still finished that moto respectively.
Right now, teammate Ryan Hughes is not cutting him any slack, David. Hughes just as hungry, I think.
He wants to win bad before the season closes out. I mean, he had the whole season really taken away from him with that bizarre crash in Charlotte, injuring his jaw. He's still not totally recovered. He's still got some soreness and some muscles that haven't come back in his face yet.
Here's our field summary with Jeff Emig in the lead in the early going with Ryan Hughes and Doug Henry in third. Our leader, Emig, followed by Hughes. And you see now, Jimmy Button, this is a surprise. Number 100 is putting a challenge to Kyle Lewis and Greg Albertine.
Button trying to sneak his way inside the top 5. Lewis says, I don't think so. Takes him wide out to the banking, but this looks like a battle. It's going to last for a little while because Button is putting the pressure on both these guys. Albertine, at the moment, seems to be holding up the show.
Albertine in 4th, Kyle Lewis in 5th, and Jimmy Button in 6th place. If Button could move up, this would be his best race of the year. He did take a 6th at Glen Helen overall, but then followed with a 14th, and then he failed to qualify at Budds Creek. So he's trying his salary run right now as Button shows a wheel once again to Kyle Lewis, and Kyle Lewis just puts the throttle down.
Looks like right now Button's going a little bit faster than these guys. Look how close they get in the air. Button had to go all the way out and land on the flat.
Big impact on that flat, and he makes a pass on both riders. Jimmy Button moving into 4th place.
That's going to get him fired up too. Anytime in the early stages of the race that you're moving ahead and passing guys before they get sorted out, it gives you confidence, and he may be able to go up and catch the guys in front of him.
As we check out the action, Jimmy Button is on a roll right now behind the leaders, Jeff Emig, Ryan Hughes, and Doug Henry. Here's Kyle Lewis behind Button. Phil Lawrence, a top privateer. Albertine is slipping back, and Larry Ward is putting the heat on him.
The way this battle is shaped up, Button at the front of it, moved right through everyone. Lewis, now Phil Lawrence. It looks like Larry Ward will all move around Albertine. He looks over, and it looks like he let him go by. It leads me to believe that something could be wrong with Albertine at the moment.
Yeah, David, Albie's been running pretty well lately. A 3-5 last week at Troy. Unadilla, of course, the first overall victory for him since coming to America. The first one for Suzuki in 15 years. A concerned Mike LaRocco Sr. as he looks at Mike LaRocco Jr. number 8 on the Suzuki. That very sore shoulder holding him back, I believe. But right now, he's putting a challenge to Cliff Palmer.
And this has got to hurt. Look at this section they're starting into now. Just covered whoop-de-doos all the way across the racetrack. This year, it seems like they're a little worse than they've been years past. Once they make this left-hander, they'll go back through another set. And your shoulder is going to take a beating through there. So I can imagine the pain he's in.
Tremendous speed. You got to keep that front end up, don't you, in the sand?
He's trying to. Look at Swink.
Swink's there inside Mike LaRocco. The Honda of Troy rider slips back behind.
That was close. I don't think LaRocco knew he was coming like that. Swink maybe surprised himself by getting such a good drive through there, and they just about got tangled, but luckily to break away free. Now LaRocco working on Cliff Palmer up that uphill section where it starts to get hard packed. He just held that inside line and made an easy pass. Now he's got Phil Lawrence and Larry Ward just up the track. Here they are. They're not that far ahead of him, so although he seems to be riding in a lot of pain, or I would imagine definitely riding in a lot of pain, he seems to have a pretty good pace right now.
Out in front is this man, Jeff Emig, and he is blitzing this course.
I thought Ryan Hughes would stay a little closer to him because I know Ryan's tough. He really wants to pick up a win before the season's over with, and this is the kind of track where Ryan would do well, but Emig's pulling away.
You suppose psychologically now it's just been a bigger boost? Oh, Greg Albertine has pulled off the track. We suspected he might be having problems.
It's hard to tell from this conversation what it is, but Albertine seems to be all right. I would imagine it's something to do with the bike now.
He's looking at the back end of it. Oh, he is very, very disappointed because he's had some outstanding rides lately.
That looks like a flat tire to me.
It is. That's it. He's looking down at the back tire. It is a flat tire.
A lot of times they'll change that, but I guess they feel they would lose so much time they probably wouldn't be able to get him back up in the points, so why waste the energy?
Very disappointing when you have nothing to do about it and you have to leave the race and get a very bad starting position for the next moto. Problems to Doug Henry while we were away. He is down in 29th position. Jimmy Button is trying to catch up with the lead pack in third. There's Kyle Lewis, Lawrence, and LaRocco. Fourth, fifth, and sixth. Lewis jamming it through that bumpy area.
This is a fast section. As they make this left, they'll head into the back section again. See, it looks like they're coming around to Doug Henry. He may be getting lapped right now. That's what I would assume. There's that rough section. Probably every time LaRocco comes to this, he's cringing because it takes so much strength, upper body strength, to ride through there. Look at Lewis.
Oh, Lewis goes sideways and goes into the trees. And that soft sand, the back wheel is still spinning, digging its way into the sand. Lewis having trouble getting back up and going. Well, the veteran doing a tug of war now with his own bike. Got the motor stopped.
This has got to be so frustrating. He had a good ride going, and an awkward place to be. He's off the side of the track in the bushes. He's got bushes in the chain.
Well, he's not going to get it out that way, I don't think. Don't they have tow trucks?
That'd be tough to get a tow truck back there through that whoop section, but he's going to probably be back in 20th place by the time he gets going, and look at how much energy he had to use. He's got trees in the way. They're all hooked in the front wheel, and I don't know what he's going to do from there. I don't think he can get out of there. He's going to have to.
He's got the whoa! Hey, great idea, Kyle. And he's back on the track. David, another look at that incident. We've just got to see it again.
Well, he was getting some pressure from Lawrence. You see the back end kicked sideways. The one that landed in that hole, it kicked the opposite way, and he was so close to the edge of the racetrack. Didn't have any cushion there, went right into the bushes. See, he's got Lucky on the back of his pants. I don't know if that holds true for that moment.
Here's Jeremy McGrath still in 11th place. Of course, if you just tuned in, Jeremy was injured in practice earlier. He cased a jump, hit his neck on the handlebars, and injured his left foot.
So just like LaRocco, Jeremy out there riding in a lot of pain, and it's a good thing he has such good timing because he's going to have to absorb the blow, especially this whoop section with his right leg, and that's going to get tired towards the end of the moto.
Let's go for an update now down to Marty Reed in the mechanics area, who's with Skip Norfolk.
Skip, before the race, you guys said you would be happy if he could survive for 10th, and he's in 11th right now with about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, he's right behind Taylor. Actually, I just heard on the radio he just got by Taylor, so that's going to put him in 10th. So that's what we came here for. He's got a lot of pain in his eyes when he comes by. He's shaking his head. He's hurting, I believe. So we're going to catch him when he comes off the bike, ice it down, and go from there.
Boy, the complexion of a season can change so rapidly in this game because injuries are a part of motocross. No question about that. Jeremy McGrath came into this race with only a 47-point advantage on Emig, and that's because Emig has been placing second and third consistently behind Jeremy's winning. Here's our leader, Jeff Emig.
And all his lines are coming together. He squared that corner, hit that berm early, squared that again. Square in that corner. I mean, it looks to me like he's got good lines everywhere. He's still able to maintain his momentum while riding around in the smoothest lines, and seem to be working for him right now because he's pulling away from Hughes.
Well, this year he has played an unbelievable role in both the Supercross and Motocross seasons. As we take a look at Ryan Hughes in second place, dropping off the pace a bit.
He's dropping off the pace a little bit, but when you look back behind him, you don't see anybody. So both these guys are going a lot faster than everyone else on the track right now, but Emig's just a notch above.
Coming off outstanding rides at Unadilla and Troy, I think number 5, Ryan Hughes, has proved that he is back. I can't say enough about this kid as far as toughness is concerned. And he's, of course, we mentioned this in our last telecast, has had to come back in competition, really.
Well, you don't always have to do that. A lot of times you can stay at home, and when you feel absolutely 100%, then you get back into racing. Ryan's a little different, however. He's tough. He wants to get right back out there and salvage something out of the year, try to win a race before it's all over with, and he's been just racing his way back into shape. It's a good gauge while he's getting healthy.
Here's a battle between Honda of Troy teammates right now. It's number 6, Larry Ward on the inside. Brian Swink to the outside. Well, they're going at it for 6th place.
Swink flew through there. It looked like Henry did on the first lap. He skimmed across those bumps. Had a little bobble in the corner, though, and then Ward's got the inside line.
Ward reaching a season's peak, really, right now. Last week, taking Honda of Troy to their very first 250 podium ever. A 3rd place on a 6-2, and that 2nd place finish in the moto was his best of the season. Brian Swink as yet does not have a contract for next year, so this is a salary run for him as they hit what looks like a very slick ramp going up the hill. Larry Ward, another pass. Back and forth we go. Is it really that slick as it looks?
Yes, it is. Any place that's shiny like that, right in there, there's some whiter colored dirt, shiny spots. There's another spot right there, and as the moto began on the starting line, you saw a lot of umbrellas. Well, that wasn't just to keep the sun off these guys. It was threatening skies. It looks to be clearing up now, but if it was to rain a little bit on there, that would be like riding on ice.
Larry Ward getting in front of his teammate Brian Swink now and starting to pull away a bit. Here comes Bradshaw knocking at the door to Brian Swink.
Swink made a bid to get around Larry Ward, made it happen. Larry Ward got him right back, and now looks like Swink is starting to fade a little. Bradshaw's reeled him in.
Bradshaw coming off a 13th at Unadilla and a 7th overall at Troy, looking to make an impression. No one's really quite sure what his plans will be for next year as well. His best finish this year at Glen Helen, a 3rd with a 6-3.
Had that strong moto in Southwick, first moto, chasing McGrath for most of the race, but still you got to give him a little credit. Coming out of injury, he wasn't 100% physically, so he wasn't able to hang that pace the whole time. Damon is definitely fast. I think everything really hasn't come together for him.
And look at here, despite his injury, Mike LaRocco, number 8, is picking up some speed on Jimmy Button. Button currently in 3rd place, about ready to lap Doug Henry. And look at that, the Millville Whoop Monster giving the pit board to LaRocco as we check out Jimmy Button.
Button's going to start feeling this pressure from LaRocco. LaRocco is one of those guys that's just learned how to ride in pain. You know, some guys just have injuries and they never can seem to stay healthy for very long. And LaRocco is one of those guys who's just gotten used to it. It's amazing to think that this guy can dislocate his shoulder just a few hours ago and be out here riding the way he's riding right now.
And add to that, David, the memories of last year, the collision with McGrath requiring reconstructive knee surgery, and yet he's back on a bike. And right now, he's going to split the riders and take on Jimmy Button. Let's go to Marty Reed, who spoke with him earlier.
Tell me about Millville. What do you think of this track?
This is one of my favorite tracks. It's got a little bit of everything, a little bit of sand, a little bit of clay, a lot of bumps. It's a pretty rough track.
I heard, because it's my first time here, I heard there's one rhythm section at about the 20-minute mark of each moto. You guys say your arm's about ready to fall off. Describe it for me.
It's definitely they have a really long loop section of sand there and back, so it's a long section. It's rough, and it gets rougher as the day goes on, but usually I don't have any problems with arm things, so hopefully not again.
But you're just hoping everybody else does.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And of course, David, that smile on his face, you could tell that was before he had the practice accident where he dislocated the shoulder. Jeff Emig on the last lap, looking forward to his 4th moto win in 4 races.
Right now, he has the luxury of listening to the crowd, taking it easy on that last lap because Hughes isn't that close to him to push him, and maybe search for a couple of lines that may be good for the 2nd moto.
See the little red tips on the side of the helmets there, David.
Well, it's on the goggles. It's a roll-off system, and at the start of the moto, I pointed out that it was sprinkling a little bit, and just in case it would have gotten a lot worse, that's what you would need to keep your vision clear. Just like when you watch car racing and they move that film across the camera to clear the vision, same thing for the rider. You yank that string a couple of times and you get clean vision.
And of course, on this track, you could get sandblasted.
Absolutely, especially if that was to get wet. That was just a precaution they took, and it doesn't bother you that much even if it's dry. You can notice that a little bit in your peripheral vision, though.
Before this race got underway, Marty was able to catch up with Jeff.
It's no secret. Everybody knows Jeremy had a fall, and he's not feeling too well right now. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. Look at this. Like you don't know. Like he doesn't know when you go down. Do you think that's going to change anything as far as this race is concerned?
Well, I don't know the magnitude of his injuries or anything else, outside of the fact that whether he does ride or doesn't ride, any of that, it doesn't matter, because for me to get the points that I need to catch up in the national championship points race, I got to win. If I want to get the 50 points, I got to win.
He's less than half a lap away from that victory. You know, injuries play a part of the championship race in this sport. The ability or luck of staying away from injury is really part of winning in motocross.
Well, you can just about count on having some kind of an injury during the season. How severe that is really remains a question, but I can't recall any season I ever went through where I didn't have something bothering me, where I had to ride and favor it.
A good feeling as he puts thumbs up to the crowd, and I would imagine he'll put thumbs up to his contract negotiations. He's got a contract in hand. I'm not sure he's signed it yet, but it would be a totally new day if he should take over the points lead.
Well, every time he wins a moto like this and proves that he can win, that just gives him a little more leverage. So the longer he holds on to that contract, the more money he'll probably get.
An easy victory at the end for Jeff Emig. Ryan Hughes in second, Mike LaRocco, Jimmy Button, Phil Lawrence, Jeremy McGrath placed in 9th position. I'm not the best of mathematicians, but I think now Emig is drawn within 35 points of McGrath. Let's go down to Marty Reed with our winner.
Let's talk about the important part. You just picked up 13 valuable points.
Well, any points are good, but but the wins are better, and that's what we're going for. The last couple weekends I had failed to put both of them together, but I feel real strong and I'm real confident this weekend. And no matter what McGrath does, whether he rides hurt or what amount of points, I still need to win. And then we'll just let everything else sort itself out. I'm just I'm trying to put the Kawasaki Bridgestone bike. I'm trying to put it right out front every time. And if I do that, then I'll stay out of trouble myself.
A little bit weird seeing Jeremy McGrath go into the pits behind Jeff Emig. Our second place winner, Ryan Hughes. Marty's moved over to him now.
I guess the first question is how you feel, and congratulations on a good second place run.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get back to where I was. A lot of people are doubting me out there. I think a lot of people saying I'm not training and not trying too hard, but I'm out there training just as hard as I ever have, if not harder, and I'm just trying to get back up to where I was. The 250 class is definitely harder than the 125s, but I just got some work to do, but I think it's come along pretty good.
Let's check on the condition of Jeremy with Marty Reed. Marty?
Well, the only time Jeremy McGrath has been out of this transporter was during the first moto. You can see the end result, the ice pack back on the foot. Courageous run. I mean, you know, in fact, Wes McCoy said the one thing you had never done in your career was ride hurt. You just did it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to have the type of attitude that I'm not a quitter, you know, and I mean, if I can score 9th or 10th in the next moto, hey, that's 24 points that Jeff's not going to gain on me, and that's what I want to do, you know. I don't want to quit.
Well, the other key element, though, here is that how much pain was it, and is it to the point where you know you can go that second moto?
Well, I'm pretty sure that you know, with the tape on there, I know I can ride the second moto. We're going to try putting a little more tape on there to ease the pain a little bit more, but the toughest part is the sand, you know. The other parts I can mainly sit down on my bike or take a different line. The sand section and shifting is the hardest part.
He just brought up a very good point, shifting on the left foot.
That's got to be so painful. That's probably why he didn't get a very good start in the first moto. You're trying to shift under full power. The shift lever's right over the top of your foot. That's the injured foot for Jeremy. Every time he shifts, it's probably a little bit of pain involved.
Obviously, his Honda team has figured out what he must accomplish in these two motos. Because if he were not to ride, Jeff Emig mathematically could take over the points lead, especially if he wins this moto. Jeff Emig again, the whole shot. There's Jimmy Button 100, another good performance. Jeremy McGrath, a much better start, though, in about 5th position on the inside there. Here's Henry coming to the outside, and Stratton goes flying. Larry Ward goes off the track.
Once Stratton got out of control, he went over to the edge of the racetrack, cleaned the tire. Larry Ward had nowhere to go and off the track. Had he gotten a little bit better start, he'd have been in front of that. Now it looks like he's going to have to come from last, as is Stratton.
Well, Emig is right where he wants to be. Remember, he told us he wants to stay out of trouble. That means getting out in front. Henry in second, Button in third. There's Hughes going by mid-pack.
There's LaRocco on the outside, just now coming around, so a horrible start for him. And Larry Ward, you can see, who just gone down. I don't think he bent anything on the bike. He just had to go off the racetrack momentarily, and you can really see the effects of the injury on Jeremy McGrath. He came through the first corner and seemed like he could have controlled second place. Now he's all the way back to 5th. Usually it's the opposite.
Jeff Emig, our leader, started the season with 5 second-place finishes and 2 wins. Comes to Millville after a 3rd at Unadilla and a 2nd at Troy. That put him in good position, points-wise, to put the heat on Jeremy McGrath should anything happen. Well, this morning in practice, it did. And McGrath is trailing Emig, and looks like he might lose more points here. Phil Lawrence, number 13. And Jimmy Button is in back of him in front of Jeremy McGrath.
This is an unusual sight for Jeremy, just seeing these guys that he can usually ride right around. And he's got to sit there and watch them. I mean, I don't think he has the confidence or enough Advil probably to go up and pass these guys. And, you know, he wants to get in the top 10. He's in there now. Just stay where he's at, and maybe these guys will make mistakes, but I don't think he's going to take any chances or push extra hard to pass him. He'll just stay where he's at.
David, have you ever lost a title because of injuries?
Well, it's hard to say if I lost the title for sure or not. 1985 in the 500 Nationals against Brock, we both had injuries, but yeah, it cost me a title, I think. He had an injury as well, but I had an extra one, and that's what cost me. And I've also won titles. In fact, here in Millville, I wrapped up the Grand National title and the 250 National title 1983 because Bob Hanna was injured. Vic Johnson dislocated his hip, so it's gone both ways for me. And you can just about count on having injuries during your career, and how well you deal with them really determines how successful you'll be.
Here comes Hughes in back of McGrath. Ryan Hughes, with not the best of starts, is starting to put the throttle to it.
A different line through there. He came down the left side, squared across. Actually used to like that line. It set me up better for that left-hander. Ryan's the one on the move right now. He's passed a lot of guys and closed in on Jeremy pretty quick.
Jimmy Button in 4th takes the inside line here in the corner, and that's a great break for Ryan Hughes. Hughes getting some leverage now.
They get close. Hughes didn't have a whole lot of room right there. They just about tangled handlebars. Button lost a lot of time to that whoop section. He tried the far inside line, and he wasn't able to maintain his momentum. And both this battle right here between McGrath and Hughes just went right around him on the outside.
This is the battle for 4th place. Ryan Hughes and Jeremy McGrath.
Hughes square in that corner, trying to get a run at Jeremy. Jeremy's wounded. He's doing the best he can. If Ryan's, he's going to be a threat. I don't think Jeremy will be able to hold him off very long. Well, there you go.
Ryan really charged after the second place finish in Moto number 1. He moves into 4th place, and he's on the move. He's got privateers in front of him.
It's pretty weird right now for these guys, I would imagine, and especially for Jeremy. But there's Ryan's mechanic checking the watch. He's going to try to get a split on the board, let him know how far he is behind the leaders, I would imagine, as Hughes comes by. But all these guys are riding right around McGrath. I mean, here's a guy that's just a phenomenon. He's won 90% of the races this year, and they're able to catch and pass him. It must, in one sense, it probably feels good. Oh, there he is, and I just passed him. In the other sense, well, you know, he's hurt, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Behind McGrath, we've got Jimmy Button, Kyle Lewis, and Greg Albertine. Albertine now starting to step it up a bit after that flat tire in the first moto.
Lewis still using that outside line. That's right in the same place where he went off the track the first moto. Not going through there quite as fast, and Albertine took advantage of it on the inside.
Jimmy Button fighting desperately right now for his best finish of the season. He doesn't know where he's going to ride next year. Albertine has not yet signed a contract with Team Suzuki. We're assuming he'll be back with Roger DeCoster, but there's all kinds of rumors this time of the year, David.
There sure are, and for Jeremy, that's probably a little frightening to crash that bad, be laying there and not be able to talk and not have a contract signed yet.
Before the race, Marty Reed caught up with Greg Albertine.
Let's backtrack a little bit to Troy. 3-5. Good first moto. Probably not as what you wanted in the second, but still scored more points. And we're starting to see you closing in on 3rd place. I mean, I think it's like 9 points between you and Mike LaRocco, a Suzuki teammate. What's the thought process going in?
Well, you know, Troy was a pretty good race for me, considering, you know, without making excuses, I wasn't feeling well that day at all. My stomach was totally messed up, and I just was hanging on for dear life in that last motor, trying to salvage a 5th place. So, you know, considering it was a pretty good day for me, but things are looking great. You know, I'm 9 points or 8 points out of 3rd, something like that. So I'm very confident for today. I really like the track at Millville, and I'm going to hopefully go for a win-win. That wouldn't be bad.
Impossible now after the flat tire in the first moto. Albie now just fighting for better points and better position. As you see McGrath, Button, and Albertine in that order. Henry has fallen back, and McGrath is taking him on. Jeremy McGrath passing his former teammate. And let's see if the other 3, Button, Albertine, and Lewis, will do the same thing.
It looks like they're going to. See the way that Henry rode into that corner, just standing up. It looked like he was going to let everybody by, and in fact he does. So McGrath at the head of this battle is starting to look pretty good. I think that pain partway through the moto, you start to forget about it a little bit, and that may be happening to Jeremy right now.
Ryan Hughes in 3rd. Trying to make the pass into 2nd place on Phil Lawrence.
Nice move. That's that line I liked. It came into that corner wide, squared it, got around Phil. You can see why I like it. Sets you up perfect for that left-hander. You get all that speed. And each time you come to this big sand whoop section, the closer you get to it, you're like, okay, here it comes again. And it takes so much energy. You have to get yourself ready to handle it.
Jeremy McGrath in 4th position, and Jimmy Button wants that spot. Jimmy Button to the inside.
He's going to get around, and it's a weird play. Oh, look at Jeremy. Has a better line through the corner, but going wide right there, he's going to give it up. He's looking for the smoothest line everywhere. And he finds himself in an odd position. It's almost like a privateer getting a good start and then kind of knowing that everyone's going to come and get around you.
Jimmy Button with a 4th place finish in the first moto, his best moto finish of the season.
Button rode here on Friday, as did a lot of the guys. He came in early to get some time on the racetrack, but Button was out there, seemed like all day, getting comfortable with the racetrack, gave him a lot of confidence, and it's starting to show right here.
Coming off that last jump, every one of the riders going for the tear-offs. Not many places to do that on this track.
No, it's rough everywhere, slick, or fast and choppy, and the best place to do it is in the air off the jump. You don't have to worry about the front end washing out, and typically you're very relaxed in the air off the jump. It's just the easiest place to do it.
4th through 8th we're looking at right now. Kyle Lewis in 7th position. Jimmy Button leading the pack. Out in front, in case you just tuned in, Jeff Emig, Ryan Hughes, and Phil Lawrence. Jeremy McGrath with a big injury in practice prior to the race. His worst moto finish since the 3rd race of last year. A 9th place finish in moto number 1. And he's just trying to save some points here today.
Well, he just lost a couple more to a hard-charging Albertine.
Oh, Mike LaRocco's down.
It looked to me a moment ago like he just got together with Lewis coming into the corner, went down, and I imagine since he went down a left-hand corner, he went right on that sore shoulder.
Oh, he is hurting big time right now. And such a disappointment after a fine third-place finish in the first moto. Mike LaRocco back on the track. It'll be interesting to see now if he has to pull off.
Well, he's in a lot of pain, lost a lot of positions.
Here comes Albie putting the test to Jimmy Button.
Listen to Albertine's bike. I don't know if it's Button's bike or Albertine. Whoa!
Oh! Balancing act by Albie. He's had enough of that this year.
Maybe McGrath's grinning right now. He's back there watching all this. But it sounds to me like it's either Button or Albertine, but one of their bikes, the pipe has come loose or the silencer, something's happened to it, and it's not making full power.
Making full power out in front, though, is Jeff Emig looking for a sweep. It would be his first sweep of the season if he can hold on to the lead. As we look at the back of the pack now, Jimmy Button and Albertine, this is the battle. In the mechanics area, Mike LaRocco Sr. looking concerned, and rightly so, after his son went down, and they're going to talk it over to see what Mike should do.
Well, I'd imagine Mike is just saying, Dad, I fell on my left shoulder, it hurts, I can't continue, and they'll decide what to do. I don't think he's going to get any points, so why bother?
His wife pouring water on his neck, and Robbie Raynard, 125 rider there in front. As we get back to the action, Jeremy McGrath, Kyle Lewis has passed Jeremy.
Well, you can really see how careful Jeremy was through that section. Larry Ward went around him as well.
Look at Larry, he's starting to put it on. Larry, after going off the track up near the start of the race, is edging his way back.
He's putting in a great ride. He seemed like he was a gear higher through that section right there. Wide open around this berm, maintaining his momentum. A lot of times you go down in the first lap and you have nothing to lose, and you ride a lot better.
Kyle Lewis, of course, who can forget his trip in the woods. So this track has been tough on everyone, really, except Jeff Emig.
Well, it's always a little easier when you get the hole shot. Jeff has been, I don't know, hard. I think we were keeping track last week, but other than Southwick, where he came out second, I think, or pretty much in a tie for the hole shot with McGrath, he's gotten like 9 hole shots. And that's the way to win a race.
Boy, it's getting ready right there where Kyle Lewis, we just saw him go, and there's Larry Ward pulling off the track. Another bad break for Larry. This one looks mechanical.
Yeah, it does. After such a strong ride, coming from last, working his way up, I mean, what a waste. You know, you can see he's shaking his head. I agree with you. That looks like a mechanical.
Larry likes this track. Last year, he tied his best moto and overall of the season. A 4th in the first moto and a 5th overall. And a concerned mechanic heads toward Larry Ward, now out of moto number 2. He placed a 7th, you might remember, in moto number 1.
I don't know if I would approach him for an autograph right now. But he's working his way through the spectator area. He's pretty far away from the pits.
Jimmy Button with the tilted 100 number. And Greg Albertine right behind him. Boy, we've seen a little bit of everything put riders out of this race here today. Marty Reed over in the mechanics area making his way to try to see what that problem with Larry Ward might be.
Larry, what put you out, do you know?
It was something mechanical. I'm not really sure. I was riding a good race. Fell over there on the first lap and was dead last, and I think I was at the 5th or 6th, so I was running really strong. Oh well, next week I'll get them. Still having problems with those first motos, but second motos I couldn't be happier with. I'm riding really well. It's unfortunate it happened, but it's the first time all year I've had bike problems, so we'll get them at Washougal.
We'll see you there.
Larry returning to his native state where he's had some success in Supercross.
And he'll want to do well at the National there, and it sounds like he's already looking forward to it, and he's handling it good. I mean, it's disappointing to have a DNF, but it's the best way to look at it. It's the only one he's had all season, and shoot, he had a good workout. He was putting a strong ride. Put it all behind him and get it together for next week.
We haven't seen him for a while, but out front, riding flawlessly, is Jeff Emig. Here's Jimmy Button and Greg Albertine. It's really the closest competition of moto number 2.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like Albertine is going to move his way around Button. He's caught him. He seems to be going a little bit quicker. Actually going a lot quicker as he moves around Jimmy Button. Button's number plate, that would bug me. That's happened to me before. What happens is the front brake cable runs through it, and every time the forks compress, the thing jiggles around.
Ryan Hughes, he's quite a story, besides Jeff Emig taking the first moto and dominating this second moto. But Ryan started beyond the top 25 in this moto, and by the 7th lap, David, he moved into second place, and he's had a pretty lonely ride there in second ever since.
Well, by the time he worked his way up, Emig was gone, and you can see Emig has got enough of a lead that he can cruise around and acknowledge the fans. He's done his job today, back-to-back moto wins. He has no idea how good Hughes rode, but had Hughes gotten a better start, he'd have been a real threat for Jeff.
If Emig's to win the point championship, Hughes could play an important part.
He could, and had Hughes been up there in the first place, Kawasaki may have elected to have him hold back and let Emig get those points. It used to happen to Hanna every year here in Millville because he didn't figure into the overall point standings, and he was fast enough to win the race, and he had to let me by one year, he let Lachine by another year, and you can bet that Kawasaki is going to try to pick up all those points. An extra 3 may make the difference in the end.
The checkered flag for Jeff Emig, his first sweep of the season. His 5th moto win, equaling last season's total amount. Jeremy McGrath, after the 9th place finish in the first moto, is currently in 7th place. So the calculators are busy. But one thing for sure, David, the complexion of this 96 season has changed. The outcome is now uncertain. The battle is on.
Well, Jeremy has definitely lost a lot of points to Emig, and in the process, Emig is gaining confidence. This will be a long flight home and an ugly week off. And if he doesn't come back to Washougal and make a statement, get some moto wins, it's going to go down to the wire.
He's done well at Washougal. He likes the track, but can he heal that foot quick enough to be at 100%?
He's done everything else. I don't see why not.
Oh, I'm telling you, quite an effort for Jeremy McGrath. Our hats are off to him as well as our winner, Jeff Emig. Skip Norfolk there with 20-plus points on the pit board. They're keeping track. Jeff Emig, our winner. Ryan Hughes. Phil Lawrence, the best overall finish of his career, makes the podium. Kyle Lewis, McGrath ending up in 7th. Swink, Palmer, and Taylor rounding out the top 10. Marty.
Well, after all those times when one thing seemed to snake bite you, does this one make up for a lot of those?
It sure does. You know, what can I say? The Kawasaki with Bridgestone tires was, I mean, it was great today, especially off the start. So, you know, that was a big key. I didn't want to get dirty all day, you know. And, you know, we lucked out and the rain held off and everything really worked out for me today. I'm real happy, you know, for me and my team.
I got to admit, it's about the cleanest I've ever seen anybody. I mean, you led wire to wire both motos and picked up another 11 points.
Well, that's good, you know. Like we said before, the points is good and all, you know, but I still make a lot of money when I win these races, and that's what I'm after.
Mention the almighty dollar. He puts a smile on Jeff Emig's face. The overall winner, Ryan Hughes, in 2nd place. His best finish of his career in 250s.
Hey, 2 2s and a 2nd overall, and I think you've quieted the critics that you were talking about after the first moto?
Yeah, I'm hoping, but I still have one spot to go. You know, I want to get a 1st place before the year's over and show everybody that I'm going to be ready for next year's Supercross and Nationals. But I mean, I got some work to do, and me and my mechanic Wyatt are working real hard every week, and I got a new trainer, and I think everything's starting to come around.
Sure does look it from the performance on the track. You got a bad start, but boy, you really cut through the field.
Yeah, I think everybody was a little tired in the beginning because I was cutting through it pretty good and I had a good pace. Started catching Jeff a little bit, but then kind of ran out of energy, and you know, I just settled for 2nd. You know, you got to move up a little at a time instead of trying to make big steps, and you know, that's what I'm doing.
Hey, 2nd overall, nothing to sneeze at. Congratulations.
Thank you.
6 more motos on the season, a possible 25 points for a win. Jeremy McGrath leads by only 23 points. We're going to have a battle down to the end, David.
I think so, and I think what Jeremy proved to everyone is that he can ride injured. He did it in both motos, salvaged some points. He's got some time off now. He couldn't have picked a better time to get hurt. They get a week off. He'll be able to heal up, come to Washougal, hopefully 100%. But now, Jeff Emig, his momentum, and the momentum of his teammate Ryan Hughes starting to get strong again. That's going to make it real tough on Jeremy. You look at each of the titles he's won, he's always had a huge points lead going into the final rounds. This year it's different.
Number 13, Phil Lawrence, making it a Kawasaki sweep. Even though he's a privateer, he was on a green bike. And of course, Millville took its toll on several riders. Art Ekman for David Bailey and Marty Reed saying thank you so much for being with us. Hope you can join us for the battle at Washougal.